Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Math Pad. And today we're going to do advanced questions for functions. The concepts that we will be applying over here are going to be similar to the ones that we did for the basics one. So overall, the concepts are same. It's just that the equations are slightly more advanced than the previous one. So if we start, question one has given us three different functions, and it's asking us to find the composite function of g of f of x. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to change the domain of gx and replace that with the function f of x. So if I just highlight this over here, go to the new domain of g of x, which means instead of x in the g of x, we'll now be writing the entire function of f of x. So 2 times x plus 2 cubed minus 5 plus 10. So now if you compare the two equations, this x over here has been replaced by this entire thing. Okay. So going back to the question, I'm going to expand the brackets. It's going to be 2 times x plus 2 cubed minus 10 plus 10. 2 times x plus 2 cubed. That is your composite function for g of f. Then if you go back to the next question, it says f inverse of x. For that, let me just write down. This is the function, and okay, so for the inverse, what we're going to do is copy it over here so that we have space for it. Okay. So this is basically given in the completing square format, and we have to find its inverse. So first step, as you know, we replace f of x with y first. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make x subject. So I'm going to take the 5 to the other side. When you take 5 to the other side, its sign changes since it's originally negative. On the left hand side, it's going to be positive. Now to get rid of the cube, I'm going to take the cube root on both sides. So when we take the cube root on both sides, the left hand side becomes cube root of y plus 5, whereas the right hand side becomes x plus 2. The reason why it's x plus 2 is because 1 over 3, which is what the cube root represents, times 3 equals to 1. Now this is similar to what we've done in the laws of indices. So if you're still confused about that, you can just check out the law of indices tutorial, which is going to be the link below, and create better understanding of this concept. So going back to this, I'm going to remove the 2 now. So it's going to be cube root of y plus 5 minus 2 equals to x. Now, as we know, once we've made x the subject, we're going to replace x with f inverse x. And we're going to replace the y with x. And this is your inverse. Cube root of x plus 5 minus 2. Next question says, find the composite function of g of h of negative 1 over 5. So let's copy the functions first. So g of x is 2x plus 10. And h of x is 1 over x. So, okay. So first what we do is we find of h of negative 1 over 5. H of negative 1 over 5 would be 1 over negative 1 over 5 which can be rewritten as 1 divided by negative 1 over 5. Take the reciprocal, so it's going to be 1 times negative 5. So negative 5 is h of negative 1 over 5. Now, g of h of negative 1 over 5 is going to be the same as g of negative 5, because this is the value of this. So g of negative 5 is going to be 2 times negative 5 plus 10. Negative 10 plus 10, that is 0. That is your answer. Similarly, question number 2 is asking us to find f of g of negative 1. We start with finding g of negative 1 first, which is going to be negative 1 squared, negative 2 squared, which is 4. Then we find f of g of negative 1, which is basically going to be f of 4. That's going to be 4 minus 1 cubed, 3 cubed, 27. So as you can see, what's happening is the domain is changing. For g, the domain was negative 1. And once you find the value of g of negative 1, that value becomes the domain of f function. Part 2 says find g of hx in its simplest form. So g of hx, so which means x is being replaced by hx now. So it's going to be 3x plus 1 minus 1 whole square. This is the equation. Now we simplify. So that's going to be 3x whole square, which is 9x squared. As you can see, we just don't square the variable or the coefficient, we square both things, coefficient and the variable. Hence, the answer is 9x squared. Next, it says find f inverse of x. So what I'm going to do is x minus 2. Yeah. So steps are pretty much the same. Replace fx with y. To get rid of the cube, we will take cube root on both sides, which gives us cube root of y equals to x 1. We take the 1 to the other side. It's going to be plus 1. We replace x with f inverse x, and we replace the y with x. That is it. And let's see if we have different. Let's do this again. So in this one, it says fx equals to 1 minus 2x and g of x equals to x over 2. Find f of g of 7. So what we're going to do is first find g of 7. Just going to be 72. Then f of g of 7 is going to be 1 minus 2 times 7 over 2, which is 1 minus 7 equals to negative 6. Then it says solve f of x equals to g of x. So which means 1 minus 2x equals to x over 2. Let me just yeah. So what we're going to do is, since both equations are put equal to each other, we're going to, and we have like fraction on one side, we cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. Gives us 2 minus 4x equals to x. Collect the like terms on each side. And 2 equals to 5x. So 2 over 5 equals to x. That is the answer for this. Then it says the graphs of y equals to fx and y equals to g of x meet at M. Find the coordinates of them. So we've already found the coordinate of the x, point for this M, which is 205. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 205 and I'm going to substitute in either of the equations. So I'm going to show both, like, use both the equations to solve it, and then you can see you can pick either of the equations. It like there's no restriction that you have to pick one particular equation for this. So if we use f of x, so we have to substitute x equals to 2 by 5. If we put it over here, that's going to be 1 minus 2 times 2 by 5, which is 1 minus 4 by 5, which is 1 by 5. And over here, that's going to be 2 by 5 of 2, which is 2 by 5 divided by 2, which is 2 by 5 times 1, 2, and 1 by 5 again. So basically, in both cases, we're getting the same value, which is 1 by 5. Hence, M has the coordinates of 2 by 5 and 1 by 5. That is your answer. If you have any questions or confusions of any of like the concepts and functions, just let me know in the comments below and I'll help you out.